I'm gonna test the memory on this voice agent, and then I'm gonna show you how I actually set it up. Hopefully it works out. I've been testing
Hi
this for
there,
a
this is
while.
Spencer at Oak Floors, New York. How can I be of help today?
Hey Spencer, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thanks for asking. Just here, ready to help you with anything you need. How about you? How's your day going?
My day's going pretty well. It's kind of late right now. I want to understand like what the weather is. Can you tell me?
Sure. Could you please tell me your location so I can get the weather information for you?
Why don't you get the weather for Johannesburg, South Africa?
Please wait while I check the weather for you, okay?
Sure.
Today in Johannesburg, it's a lovely 19.5 degrees, perfect for sipping coffee while pondering life's big questions. Tomorrow, though, it's dropping to a cool 10.1 degrees C, so maybe grab those thermal socks. Is there anything else I can help you with?
That was fine. I just want to I want to understand if you remember our previous conversations. By the way, my name is Muzi. I don't know if you remember me.
Let me try to recall.
Do you remember?
I remember now.
Okay, can you tell me about what we spoke about?
In our previous conversations, you asked about the weather and expressed interest in me recalling our past interactions. However, the calls ended prematurely, so we didn't get to dive into any detailed discussions. If there's anything specific you want to discuss today, feel free to let me know.
I mean, thank you for that.
You're very welcome, Muzi. If there's anything else you'd like to chat about, or if you have more questions, I'm all ears.
I know. Okay, that was the voice agent. I want to come in here just to show you how it works. So we have two more executions. I'll show you which executions these are, like in a moment. Let me actually just bring one of these in, just to sort of go through what's going on. So this should be the weather. It was getting the weather here, and then this is the call for the memory getting, which should load in a moment. We're gonna go through like how this works in a moment, but yeah. And then this should be the call for, I think it should be storing the details, customer details. Okay, yeah, it's end of call report. So yeah, and then this should be something similar as well. Let's go to the editor. Get rid of this execution data. Okay, so how is she able to remember how is she able to get the weather? Well, first and foremost, when the input comes in, so we set up a webhook in Vapi itself. What we did was we set up 4 tools, which are these 4 things, and we had them connected to this webhook, but we also connected a webhook to the assistant itself as a message sort of sending kind of you know functionality, um, where we wanted the end of call report as well. So that's why we have 5 different lines. These are for the 4 functions, and then for the end of call report. We set up our sort of tools such that they pass in data as well. So here, what we're going to, I'm just gonna bring in this data for it should be for the weather. I'm going to bring this in and then copy it to the editor, and then it should come in. Okay, so it's able to bring in like all of this really useful data, like timestamps and everything. But the most important thing is this and the location, right? Johannesburg, South Africa. That's what we asked for, and that's what she was able to give to us. Here, what this node does is, okay, this is just a switch. It basically checks the type of the tool call, basically. and if the tool calls get local weather, then it routes it to the get weather line, which is this line of execution. Here what we want is to basically just normalize the information, meaning that we want to get the coordinates, and the coordinates are going to be very useful for the weather app that we're using. So we get the coordinates here. It's negative 26 and 28 for Johannesburg, South Africa. We don't need anything else, and we're outputting it as JSON, of course, so that we can just plug and play it over here. And this is an API called OpenMeteor. It allows you to like access weather data without actually like sort of needing an API, like an API key. Like you can just make requests and it gives you the information. So it's relatively like easy to use. You just put this in with the longitude and latitude of the the coordinates, and then you put in some other like query parameters here. There's like a bunch that you can find on the website itself, but for this purpose I only put in hourly temperature 2M, because I didn't need anything else. And so I got a bunch of data over here, which basically lasts for like 7 days, but I set it up such that I do another OpenAI prompt whereby I analyze the weather information, and then I want it to give me some kind of really interesting sort of way of formatting the data for today's and tomorrow's weather. So it came up with this thing where it's like, today in Johannesburg expect a lady like 19.5 degrees Celsius with a hint of charm. But of course, when she takes it in, she's going to interpret it in her own way. So it's like a really interesting thing. But yeah, and then afterwards I just format the data in terms of the way that VAPI understands it, which is this object, this results, this object with the results field, and the results is an array of objects inside it, and every object has a tool call ID and a result. So yeah, that's basically how I set that up. So that's how it's able to get the weather data. When it comes to getting the memories, what we do here is very simple. We effectively just here we can set the number of memories that we get. For this purpose it's 5, and again you can get like as many memories as you want to, but just understand that getting memories is not very like simple. It's very context intensive, I would say, because understand, if you want to remember more things, you have to handle that much more context. So you would probably have to like chunk your data, and then collapse it, summarize it and then collapse it again, or just do something of that sort. But I was like just doing 5 because I don't need any too much. It's fine if she has short-term memory. Yeah, so I got the 5 previous number of conversations, and again this would sort of, you could set this up whereby it doesn't just get conversations, it searches for the person it's having a conversation with and then gets that information. But if you want to do something like that, then you have to account for the fact that some people have the same names. Like there's quite a few people who have my name, at least in my country, and like if you want to sort of set up a system like that, you don't want to recall something, you don't want to recall a conversation about someone without actually considering who they are. So you should have something like specific to them. Maybe if you knew their name and email, then you could set that up like that. But for this purpose, just very simply, we just got the 5 latest conversations, because at the end of the day, it's only me and my partner who are having conversations with her, so everything is good. So over here we get customers, which is basically me, and again we are getting the latest customers. The latest customers are linked to conversations. You'll understand how everything comes together here. And we also get some escalations. This is very useful, like in case anyone ever needs sort of help from an admin or like a store manager or anyone, because this agent was set up for a store, right? It's a customer support agent, and it's supposed to help whenever there's like sort of anything that it can't handle, it just pushes to customers, and I'll show you the flow for that as well. So here what we're doing is we're basically creating the memory objects. Maybe I should just go into here and just show you how that would look, just so that you can like visualize it. I'll copy this to the editor. I'll probably see the message. No message. Okay. Yeah, okay, here's the message. Okay, I'll show you how it looks. So it looks like this, just a bunch of data, and now you probably understand why I said what I said. It's like if you don't have a massive context window, you probably don't want to pull in like way too many memories. And here we're pulling in like a bunch of information, because like it's how we set up the database anyway. It's like a summary of interactions. It's a detailed description of the interaction. It is the emotions that a customer showed. It is any issues that they experienced. It's the sentiment that the customer showed, and it is the responses. All of this is like useful data that we're storing to make the agent better over time. And again, we're also getting customer data, and we're passing it through in case it can actually like recognize and remember people that it spoke to. And then we're also passing in the escalations in case it has to like respond to a returning customer who wants information on like whether or not their issue is being dealt with, and so on and so forth. So it takes all of that information, puts it into arrays, and then we feed that in, and then we tell it that it is a memory formatter, and we have a bunch of information here. We basically wanted to return it in JSON, but we keep it as text. Like, we don't turn it into an object. We keep it as text, and then we pass it as the result over here to the tool call, so that it actually just remembers. But the nice thing is that since the data is formatted in an understandable way, where it's like let me just show you how it's going to be formatted. So it's like memory IDs, memory types, custom IDs, summaries, and then there's like key details, relevance, and so on and so forth. Like, all of those are very useful. And yeah, there's like a bunch of these memories here. It's able to remember like relevant information on like what happened and what it means, and so on and so forth. So all of that information gets passed, and then that's how it's able to remember conversations from the past. This is a line that is basically for escalations. So this is like if anything needs admin help, what we do is we find the let me just zoom in so that you see. We find any relevant admin that we could contact, and then we normalize the input. So what that means is we take the name and the email, we take the the function arguments, and then we take the message. So here what this does is it stringifies the, because how messages come in from VAPI is it's like it's an array of objects with like fields inside them, and one of those fields is the text sort of transcription for a whoever's speaking at that moment. So for every element in the array, it's a different speaker. What we're doing here is we're basically saying we want you to take all those messages, and then we want you to slice them from the first element onwards, because we don't want the system message, we want the actual conversation messages. And then we want to analyze all these arguments and then come up with an insightful summary with name, email, phone number, and insights, like some insights and notes on what the caller actually wanted. And then here what it does is it finds the customer in the database from the customer's name. If the customer wasn't found, then it will just create the customer so that we're able to get back to them at a later stage. And mind you, these things are actually things that are asked for. Like, the agent actually asks for the name, email, and phone number of the customer so that they could get contacted ever again, so that their issue can get dealt with. So here, after creating the customer, it creates the escalation, and then it sends a formatted message to an admin, That's basically like, hey, an issue's been detected, please come and deal with it. Like relatively simple, please confirm this issue's validity and resolve it as soon as possible, right? Very, very simple, very easy. And then after that, it formats the response that basically says the message was sent. Yeah. And then the final tool call is basically just storing customer details. So this is useful for if a customer wants to get like updates on any new products or whatever. Then the agent would ask like hey, if you want any if you want if you want access to then just give me your name, email, and phone number, and that's how we're able to add them to the database. Maybe I should show you the database right now. Although you'll probably see like a bunch of duplicates entries of like me, who I am, and like there's probably maybe one other person, but yeah, if there's a single thing that really needs work, it's the spelling. But that's just because I guess like if you're from a different country, you just have to specify that type of spelling. Like you can't really control it. You have to spell the words out clearly, otherwise the agent might misspell the name, and then that will end up like messing things up. So you definitely need some kind of person who's like managing things in the background. So here's the end of call report. What we do is we format the most important fields. So we just bring in the transcript, the recording URL, the call start date, call end date, call end reason, call summary, and then we summarize all of this information very, very simply, very easily. Yeah, using a system message that is basically just trying to summarize as much as possible, and then it creates this kind of mess. Okay, let me actually bring this in so that we see like maybe an execution. Copy this to the editor. Sometimes it doesn't copy, like you could click that button and then it just doesn't copy, so I guess you have to like wait for a while. I'll show you the database just for now. There should be quite a few entries, quite a few sort of interesting things I could show you, like interesting conversations. This was just me, like as you can tell, like this was me trying to save my name, and every single time it spelled it wrong. My name is Muzi, M-U-Z-I, and here I was Muri, I was Molly, I was Molly. But the interactions are definitely the most interesting. It's able to like create a category, it's able to create an outcome. Most of these are inconclusive because the call just ends without the AI actually knowing what's going on. And then we save the transcript, we save the interaction summary as well, and the description as well of like what actually happened, interaction emotions, and I'm going to show you how this looks right now. Yes, unpin this. This it outputs an object with all the information that we actually want. And as you can imagine, sometimes the information doesn't exist, which is why we have some empty fields here. It lets just like AI sometimes makes errors, it is what it is, but we're able to like get most of these fields like as a lot of the times. So we're able to save keywords, customer keywords, agent keywords. I think maybe a useful mechanism here is the call sentiment. Like it's very useful for like sort of measuring how an agent was able to help someone, or like how they made someone feel. And again, this is supposed to be linked to customers. Like if we know who the customer is, then like these can actually get stored in there. But most of the time, the customers won't actually like introduce themselves, because at the end of the day, it's just talking to cameras. But yeah, it adds the information to the Airtable, and then it formats the response which is basically just how the system works right now. And again, there's like a lot of potential for growth and change, but just like as a first sort of like v0 or v1, it actually works really well. You get an agent that is able to like remember things. You get an agent that is able to save customer information, that is able to help customers resolve problems even when it can't actually help out. And like it's able to do a lot of things, like with sort of just all by itself. So it's able to be like as autonomous as possible, which is exactly what you want. Like when you're designing systems, you want the systems to be intelligent enough to sort of self-govern. It's something I'm very interested in, and I feel like if you implement sort of the same ideas in your designs, then you'll get like really good results. Thank you for watching, and I don't know. I might share this in my community, in my web community. So if you want that, I'll probably link that in the description. Yeah, thank you.